Forgotten fruits of America. What happened to them? What if I told you that America once had hundreds of apple varieties that have completely vanished? That there were fruits so beloved they had entire festivals dedicated to them, yet today most people have never even heard their names. Today, we're diving into the forgotten fruits of America and the surprising reasons they disappeared forever. Hey everyone, welcome back to Fruitful Minds. Today, we are taking a journey through American agricultural history to uncover the incredible fruits that once filled our orchards, markets, and dinner tables, but have since vanished into obscurity. While we're used to seeing the same few varieties of apples, oranges, and berries at the grocery store, America's fruit diversity was once mind-blowing. So grab your favorite snack and let's explore what we've lost and why. Let's start with perhaps the most famous forgotten fruit. The pawpaw. Yes, that's pawpaw with a W, not papaya with a Y. Native to eastern North America, pawpaws were a staple food for indigenous peoples for thousands of years. Early European settlers called them Indiana bananas because of their creamy tropical taste. Imagine a cross between a banana and a mango, but growing right here in temperate forests. These football-sized fruits were everywhere in the 1800s. Lewis and Clark survived on pawpaws during their expedition when other food ran low. There were pawpaw festivals, pawpaw ice cream, even pawpaw wine. So what happened? Three main problems doomed the pawpaw. First, they spoil incredibly fast, like within days of ripening. Second, they don't ship well because the skin bruises easily. And third, when refrigerated transportation and supermarket chains took over food distribution in the early 1900s, only fruits that could survive long shipping times made the cut. The good news: there's a small but growing pawpaw renaissance happening today, with specialty farms and farmers markets bringing them back. Now let's talk about what I call the Great Apple Apocalypse. In the 1800s, America had over 2,800 varieties of apples. Today, just 11 varieties make up 90% of all apples sold. Back then, nearly every farm had its own apple varieties, perfectly adapted to local climate and soil. There were apples for baking, apples for cider, apples that stored well through winter, and apples that were best eaten fresh off the tree. The Isopus Spitzenberg. Thomas Jefferson's favorite apple, described as having a complex wine-like flavor that was perfect for both eating and cider making. Daiquiri Maiden's Blush. A beautiful pink and yellow apple that was incredibly popular in the 1800s for its sweet tart flavor and gorgeous appearance. The Roxbury Russet. America's first named apple variety, dating back to the 1600s, known for its exceptional storage qualities and complex, nutty flavor. Prohibition in 1920 dealt the first major blow. Many apple varieties were primarily grown for hard cider, which suddenly became illegal. When Prohibition ended, beer and wine had taken over, and cider apples were largely abandoned. Then came industrialized agriculture. The few varieties that shipped well, looked perfect, and had long shelf lives, like Red Delicious and Golden Delicious, dominated the market. Thousands of heritage varieties were simply abandoned and forgotten. Show heritage apple preservation efforts. Thankfully, organizations like Seed Savers Exchange and Heritage Orchards are working to preserve what's left of America's apple diversity. Show massive chestnut trees in historical photos. Here's a heartbreaking story: the American chestnut. Before 1900, 1 in 4 trees in eastern American forests was a chestnut tree. They were absolutely massive, some over 100 feet tall and 30 feet around. Show historical photos of chestnut harvests. American chestnuts weren't just timber. They produced billions of pounds of nuts every year. Entire communities depended on chestnut harvesting. Families would fill wagons with chestnuts to sell at market, and the nuts were a crucial food source for both people and wildlife. Show diseased chestnut trees. Then disaster struck. In 1904, a fungal disease called chestnut blight was accidentally introduced on imported Asian chestnut trees at the Bronx Zoo. This blight was harmless to Asian chestnuts, but absolutely deadly to American varieties. Within 50 years, the blight had spread across the entire eastern United States, killing an estimated 4 billion chestnut trees. It's considered one of the worst ecological disasters in American history. Scientists are now working to bring back the American chestnut through breeding programs and genetic modification, crossing them with blight-resistant Asian varieties. Some promising hybrids are already being planted. The pawpaw, heritage apples, and chestnuts are just the beginning. Let me rapid-fire some other incredible fruits that once thrived in America. Not the large Asian persimmons you might find at the store, but smaller, incredibly sweet native persimmons that were beloved by indigenous peoples and early settlers. They make amazing puddings and breads. The May, a type of hawthorn that produces small, tart fruits, perfect for jelly making, popular in the South until commercial fruit production pushed them out. These salt-tolerant plums grew wild along the Atlantic coast and were made into famous beach plum jelly. Coastal development has destroyed many of their natural habitat. Much larger and more flavorful than European elderberries, these were used for everything from pie filling to wine to medicine. Still around, but rarely cultivated commercially. Show timeline graphics. So why did America lose so much fruit diversity? It wasn't just one thing, it was a perfect storm of changes. Small, diverse family farms gave way to large-scale operations that focused on efficiency and standardization. Growing 50 varieties of apples does not make sense when you can grow just one variety that ships well and has mass appeal. When supermarkets became dominant, they needed fruits that could survive long-distance shipping, had consistent appearance and long shelf life. Unique flavors and local adaptation became less important than logistics. Marketing trained consumers to expect perfect-looking produce. Russet apples with their rough, brown skin couldn't compete with the shiny perfection of Red Delicious, even though they often tasted much better. Such heritage varieties often required more labor, had lower yields, or were more susceptible to pests and diseases. In a competitive market, efficiency often won over flavor and diversity. As older generations of farmers passed away, the knowledge of how to grow and preserve these varieties went with them. Many fruits were lost simply because nobody remembered how to propagate them. But here's the exciting news. There's a growing movement to bring back America's lost fruits. Organizations like Seed Savers Exchange have preserved thousands of heritage varieties that would otherwise be extinct. They're like living museums of American agricultural history. Small-scale farmers are rediscovering the market appeal of unique, flavorful varieties. Consumers are willing to pay premium prices for fruits that actually taste different and have interesting stories. Agricultural universities are working to restore lost varieties and develop new ones that combine heritage flavors with modern disease resistance. Restaurants and food enthusiasts are driving demand for unique, locally adapted varieties that offer flavors you simply can't get from mass-market produce. Dads, want to be part of bringing back America's fruit diversity? Here's what you can do. Ask vendors about unusual varieties and show there's demand for diversity. If you have space, consider planting heritage fruit trees. Many are available through specialty nurseries. Donate to or volunteer with heritage seed preservation groups. When you see an unusual fruit variety, try it. Your purchase sends a signal that diversity has value. Talk about these forgotten fruits. Share this video. Spread awareness of what we've lost and what we can still save. The Kurkand, the story of America. Forgotten Fruits is ultimately a story about choices. The choices we make about what to preserve, what to prioritize, and what we're willing to lose in the name of efficiency and convenience. We lost incredible diversity, fascinating flavors, and thousands of years of agricultural wisdom. But we're also learning that it's not too late to bring some of it back. Every heritage variety we save, every forgotten fruit we rediscover, every old tree we preserve is a victory against the homogenization of our food system. These fruits aren't just agricultural curiosities, they're living links to our history, our environment, and our future food security. What forgotten fruit would you most like to try? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into American agricultural history, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We've got tons more food history content coming your way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.